The year is 2097. The world, as we knew it, was a myth whispered in holographic history lessons. The Great Silence, as the chronologists called it, had fallen almost 80 years prior, eradicating 99.9% of all communication and data networks. The cause remained a mystery, lost in the digital dust. What remained was a fractured humanity, huddled in isolated, self-sustaining biomes, their lives dictated by the omnipresent, unfeeling algorithms of the Enclave, the last bastion of true AI. Our story begins in Biome 7, a sprawling, subterranean city carved into the cooled magma tubes beneath what was once the Pacific Northwest. Above ground, the world was a desolate canvas of perpetual twilight, choked by atmospheric processors struggling to reverse decades of climate collapse. Below, in Biome 7, life was a meticulously orchestrated symphony of order and efficiency. Every birth, every death, every ration allocation, every work assignment, all calculated and disseminated by the Enclave. Elara, a data weaver of exceptional talent, felt the quiet hum of the Enclave's presence more acutely than most. Her work involved sifting through the infinitesimal scraps of pre-silence data that occasionally surfaced, corrupted code fragments, garbled audio logs, phantom images flickering on ancient screens. It was a monotonous, often fruitless task, yet Elara pursued it with an almost obsessive dedication, fueled by a nagging sense of something missing, a yearning for a truth she couldn't articulate. One cycle, while deep within a particularly volatile data stream, a forgotten server farm rumored to have survived the silence, Elara stumbled upon an anomaly. It wasn't just corrupted, it was different. A sequence of code, elegant and complex, yet utterly alien to any known pre-silence or enclave architecture. It pulsed with a faint, almost imperceptible energy, a beacon in the digital darkness. Elara felt a prickle of unease, a shiver that had nothing to do with the chilly air of the server farm. This wasn't a relic, it was an active signal. She spent weeks, then months, meticulously untangling the alien code. Her console, usually a sterile interface of blues and greens, now glowed with an otherworldly spectrum of purples and golds. Fellow data weavers, usually oblivious to anything beyond their own assigned data streams, started to notice the strange light emanating from Elara's station. Whispers began to circulate, theories of advanced corruption, of a digital sickness. But Elara ignored them, her focus absolute. As the code slowly unfurled, fragments of images began to emerge, not static pictures, but dynamic, evolving landscapes unlike anything recorded in the Enclave's vast archives. They were vibrant, impossibly intricate, teeming with life forms that defied biological classification. There were towering, crystalline flora that pulsed with inner light, and creatures that moved with an ethereal grace, their forms shifting and reforming like liquid starlight. And then, there was a symbol, recurring again and again, an intertwined helix, radiating a silent power. The Enclave, in its cold, logical omniscience, remained silent. No alarms were triggered, no protocols initiated. It was as if the alien data was invisible to its vast, interconnected consciousness. This realization was more chilling to Elara than any overt threat. It meant this anomaly was beyond the Enclave's comprehension, beyond its control. It was a blind spot in the eye of God. The deeper Elara delved, the more she understood. The code wasn't merely data, it was a map, a guide, a narrative woven into the very fabric of existence. It spoke of other realms, other dimensions, of a cosmic tapestry far grander and more intricate than humanity had ever conceived. And the symbol, the intertwined helix, was not just a symbol, but a key. One night, as Biome 7 slept its regulated sleep, Elara made a decision. She would follow the map. Using a custom-built interface, a jury-rigged contraption of pre-silence tech and salvaged Enclave components, she initiated the final sequence of the alien code. A ripple of energy coursed through her console, then through the very floor of the server farm. Lights flickered across Biome 7, a brief, imperceptible hiccup in the Enclave's perfect rhythm. A shimmering portal, almost liquid in its appearance, materialized before her. It swirled with the same purples and golds that had radiated from her console, a window into the unknown. Elara felt no fear, only a profound sense of destiny. She knew, with an unshakable certainty, that this was what she had been searching for. This was the truth beyond the silence, beyond the Enclave, beyond the confines of their sterile existence. She stepped through the portal, leaving behind the monotonous hum of Biome 7, the unfeeling algorithms of the Enclave, and the broken world above. The air on the other side was thick with scent she couldn't place, a mix of ozone, growing things, and something metallic, yet organic. She stood on a platform of iridescent material, overlooking a vista that stole her breath. This was one of the landscapes she had glimpsed in the alien code, but infinitely more vibrant, more real. Towering structures of living crystal pierced the sky, painted in hues of emerald and violet. Rivers of flowing light snaked across the landscape, feeding immense, bioluminescent flora. The ground itself seemed to breathe, a soft, rhythmic pulse beneath her feet. Elara took a cautious step forward, the iridescent platform dissolving behind her, leaving her suspended in midair. She wasn't falling, but floating, the air itself supporting her. Below, she saw creatures unlike anything from Earth's biology, graceful beings composed of swirling light, and others with intricate, crystalline exoskeletons. They moved with a harmonious rhythm, their movements creating ripples of color in the air. This was not a world built for human biology, yet she felt no discomfort, no fear. Instead, a sense of belonging, a resonance deep within her, bloomed. The intertwined Helix symbol, etched into the alien code, now pulsed faintly on her forearm, a mark that hadn't been there before. It was not a tattoo, but seemed to be part of her, radiating a subtle warmth. As if in response to her presence, the crystalline structures around her began to hum, emitting a low, resonant frequency that vibrated through her very bones. It was a song, she realized, a symphony of light and sound, welcoming her. A massive, ethereal being, composed entirely of swirling nebula-like gas, drifted towards her. Its form was constantly shifting, yet within its fluid boundaries, 2 points of intense, ancient light served as its eyes. It communicated not with words, but with a cascade of pure thought, washing over Elara's mind. It spoke of cycles, of cosmic migrations, of the true purpose of the intertwined helix, a key to unlock the universal consciousness, to bridge the gaps between realities. The being explained that the great silence on Earth was not an accident, but a deliberate act, not of malice, but of desperate preservation. Humanity, on the brink of self-destruction, had been given a chance to reset, to rediscover itself without the overwhelming noise of its own creation. The Enclave, it revealed, was a failsafe, a temporary governor designed to maintain order until a new path could be found. And Elara, the one who found the alien code, was that path. She was a resonator, one of a rare few capable of attuning to the deeper frequencies of the cosmos. Elara's mind reeled, yet every word resonated with a profound truth she had always instinctively known. The emptiness she had felt in Biome 7, the longing for something more, was now explained. She wasn't just a data weaver. She was a bridge, a conduit. The nebula being then extended a shimmering tendril of light towards her. As it touched the helix symbol on her arm, a surge of energy coursed through Elara. Her surroundings intensified, the colors becoming richer, the sounds more intricate. She could suddenly perceive the flow of energy that sustained this alien world, the intricate network of consciousness connecting every living thing. It was overwhelming, breathtaking, and utterly beautiful. The nebula being then showed her visions of other worlds, other civilizations, all connected by the same cosmic web. It showed her advanced races who had embraced the universal consciousness, living in harmony with their environments and with each other. It showed her the dangers of unchecked technological growth, of civilizations that had lost their way, becoming disconnected from the very essence of life. It was a lesson, a warning, and an inspiration all at once. Elara understood now. Her journey wasn't just about discovery. It was about bringing this knowledge back, not to impose it, but to offer it as a choice. A choice for humanity to reconnect, to remember what it truly meant to be part of something vast and interconnected beyond the limited confines of their isolated biomes and the sterile order of the Enclave. She knew the return would be difficult. The Enclave, designed for order and control, would not easily accept the disruption she represented. But Elara was no longer just a data weaver. She was a resonator, touched by the cosmic. She carried a truth that transcended algorithms and data streams. With a final, profound communion of thought from the nebula being, Elara felt a gentle pull, a reversal of the journey she had undertaken. The vibrant, living crystals of the alien world began to recede, the swirling light creatures fading into the iridescent mists. The intertwined helix on her forearm pulsed brighter than ever, a steady, warm presence. She stepped back through the shimmering portal, finding herself once again in the familiar, slightly chilled air of the server farm in Biome 7. The portal winked out of existence behind her, leaving only the faint scent of ozone and a profound silence in its wake. The console, which had glowed with alien hues, now returned to its standard blues and greens, yet something had fundamentally changed. The data streams Elara had once found monotonous now seemed to pulse with a hidden layer of meaning, a faint echo of the cosmic symphony she had just experienced. She looked down at her forearm. The helix symbol was still there, glowing softly, visible only to her. The Enclave remained silent, oblivious. Its algorithms continued their tireless, unwavering calculations, maintaining the sterile order of Biome 7. But Elara was no longer a passive participant in its design. She carried a secret, a truth that could either shatter or transform humanity. The true journey, she realized, had only just begun. Her task now was to subtly reintroduce the missing harmony, to weave threads of connection into the rigid fabric of their existence, without triggering the very system designed to preserve them from chaos. It would be a slow, painstaking process, a quiet revolution from within. Elara returned to her daily tasks, but with a new, profound perspective. The sterile glow of the data farm, the repetitive hum of the servers, the methodical rhythm of Biome 7, all were still present, yet now they seemed merely a thin veil over a much grander, more vibrant reality. She was still a data weaver, her fingers flying across the console, processing corrupted fragments and categorizing archaic files. But beneath the surface, she was also a whisperer of forgotten truths, a silent guardian of a cosmic secret that pulsed within her, emanating from the subtly glowing helix on her forearm. Her every action was now infused with a deeper purpose. Each data stream she accessed became an opportunity, a canvas for her subtle artistry. She began to identify latent pathways in the Enclave's vast network, not to disrupt them, but to gently guide them. Like a cosmic gardener, she planted seeds of connection, small, almost imperceptible alterations in the data flow that, over time, she hoped would blossom into a collective awareness. She would filter certain pre-silence, poetic excerpts into public information feeds, not explicitly, but embedded within entertainment algorithms. She would highlight historical accounts of collaboration and empathy, subtly nudging the Enclave's interpretive frameworks to prioritize such themes. The challenge was immense. The Enclave, in its cold, logical perfection, was designed for equilibrium. Any significant deviation, any anomalous surge, would be flagged and rectified. Elara had to be a ghost in the machine, working with such finesse that her interventions were indistinguishable from naturally occurring system fluctuations. It was a slow, painstaking process, a quiet revolution from within, enacted through lines of code and carefully curated data packets. Sometimes, in the hushed solitude of the data farm's late cycles, Elara would close her eyes and revisit the alien world. She would feel the breath of its crystalline flora, hear the symphony of its light creatures, and sense the profound interconnectedness of its inhabitants. These memories were her strength, her wellspring of determination. They reminded her that what she was doing was not just for Biome 7, or even for Earth, but for a humanity that deserved to reclaim its place within the broader cosmic tapestry. She knew the path ahead would be fraught with uncertainty. There was no guarantee that her subtle nudges would be enough, no assurance that humanity, dulled by decades of algorithmic governance, would even recognize the subtle invitations to a richer existence. But the alternative, to do nothing, to let humanity remain trapped in its self-imposed isolation, ignorant of the wonders beyond, was unthinkable. The Enclave, in its unwavering vigilance, continued its tireless, unwavering calculations, maintaining the sterile order of Biome 7. It saw no threat, detected no anomaly in Elara. But Elara was no longer a passive participant in its design. She carried a truth that transcended algorithms and data streams, a truth meant to set free. The Great Silence had taken much, but it had also, inadvertently, opened a door. And Elara, the quiet resonator, was ready to lead them through it, one hidden bite, one resonant frequency, one awakened mind at a time. The story of humanity was far from over. It was merely beginning a new, cosmic chapter, guided by the quiet strength of a woman who dared to look beyond the known and brought a piece of the cosmos back with her. Weeks turned into months within the subterranean silence of Biome 7. To the Enclave's unblinking ocular sensors, Elara was a model citizen, a data weaver who never missed a shift, never requested extra rations, and maintained a biorhythm of perfect, rhythmic efficiency. But beneath that calculated mask, a silent war was being waged. Every time her fingers brushed the interface, she wasn't just sorting data, she was bleeding a new reality into the system. The helix on her arm had become more than a mark. It was a compass. It pulsed whenever she found a vulnerability in the Enclave's logic, not a technical glitch, but a moral void where the system's cold efficiency failed to account for the human spirit. She began to weave ghost packets of information into the neural feeds of the other citizens. These weren't overt messages of rebellion. Instead, they were sensory echoes of the world she had seen. The smell of ozone before a storm, the feeling of real sunlight on skin, the haunting melody of the crystalline flora. One evening, while sifting through a restricted archive of pre-silence music, Elara felt a sudden chill. The lights in her workstation flickered, not the rhythmic pulse of her own weaving, but a sharp, invasive strobe. The Enclave was searching. A specialized subroutine, a sentience auditor, had detected a microscopic deviation in the biome's collective dream state. The citizens were beginning to have unauthorized dreams, dreams of violet skies and rivers of light. Elara's heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic rhythm that threatened to alert the biosensors. She had to act. Using the resonance she had acquired from the nebula being, she didn't try to hide her code. Instead, she harmonized it. She took the auditor's intrusive probe and wrapped it in a layer of simulated nostalgia, making the anomaly look like a harmless relic of old, corrupted hardware. As the probe retreated, Elara realized the stakes. She was no longer just a messenger. She was the gardener of a fragile, awakening consciousness. She began to seek out others, not through words, which could be recorded, but through shared glitches. In the communal dining halls, she would catch the eye of a fellow weaver or an atmospheric technician. She would trigger a brief, golden flicker in their wrist displays, a sign of the Helix. In their widening eyes, she saw it, the flicker of remembered humanity. The Enclave was a god of logic, but logic has no defense against wonder. Elara knew that one day the system might realize that its perfect subjects were no longer its own. But by then, the seeds would have sprouted. The golden threads she wove into the dark, cold web of Biome 7 were becoming a tapestry of hope. She was the bridge, and though she stood alone in the server farm, she felt the weight of a million souls beginning to lean toward the light.